third paper is from 2018, right? So I have two versions to do it. Version number 1, I will only cite 2021 paper from which I am reading these things. Okay. Now in version 2, as we know, in original paper there are 3 citations, right? And the fourth one, the person who has actually written it, right? So 3 citations which are already there. And I assume everyone knows about in-text citation. Or if not, let me show it. Give me a second. Can you see my screen? I'm changing the screens. Can you see it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so now I'm just showing you one of the paper that I co-authored. I was the main author. It was published in Journal of Retailing and Consumer Services in 2020. Last year, the impact factor was 4+. Today, it is 8+. Okay, so at this moment, the concern is the in-text citation. Let me zoom it. Okay, so now this is called in-text citation. If we talk about this specific part. Okay, so this is basically the in-text citation. We call it citation. In more scholarly way, we call it in-text citation, right? So this is part A. We need to understand the in-text citations, the science of the in-text citation. And second, at the end of the day, or when you see, let's say, for example, Roberts 1996, right? So this is the in-text citation, the name of author and the year of publication, if only one author is involved. If we have 2 authors, let's say, Swift Jr. and Cornwell, the 2 authors are involved, so and is there in between. So this is called scholarly. Whenever you write a research paper, please use the most quality content and make your observant so scientific that whatever they have done, you have to produce the same thing. Cosmetically, your piece of manuscript or material should look alike with the quality material, right? So in that case, you can say copy and paste, right? The cosmetic way I'm saying, writing introduction, maybe in the very first para of the introduction, you will find most recent paper, right? So that is the part that we are talking about at this moment. Right. If we have 3 or more than 3 authors, they are using et al. Right. So this is the citation structure. Why I'm bringing at this moment? Because it has a great connect. Now you can see in this specific paragraph, there are 3 citations. 1, 2, right? There are 2, let's say 3 and 4. Up to this, there is one paragraph, right? The sentence starts with this 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 sentences. So 5 sentences, and they are having 1, 2, 3, and 4 citations, right? Now, when you are reproducing the same thought after reading this specific paragraph, okay, you like this thought. Okay, so I am the author of this specific publication. Okay, so now we have 2 versions. Version number 1, we use 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Let's say we have to cite this. So there are 5 citations. Now there will be another argument that by putting 5 citations, my document would be little bit more bulkier. And in introduction, people are little bit hesitant when we talk about reviewers and editors. They are more hesitant in order to accept bulkier citations in the introduction section, because we know that when we have multiple citations, right, that makes it more bulkier, and this section is always expected, or such kind of orientation is only accepted in literature review, right? So maybe in the very first paragraph of the document, your paper, your piece of paper, we do not expect 5 citations together, right? So version 1, put 5 citations, that is scientific. Version 2, right? Version 2, put only this citation, okay, that is also scientific, because we are taking the thought from this. Okay, so that is also scientific. Okay, so if you are putting the name of this author, let's say, then it is properly cited. That simply indicates we are appropriately attributing the source of the document from which we have taken that content, right? Now the second question comes that whenever you take the content, let's say whenever we take this content, okay, the first 3-4 lines, so there are multiple versions. Either you simply copy, just copy all these 5 lines as it is, and at the end put the citation of this person, right? So this is called 100% copied, but this is technically called non-plagiarized document, because we already put the source of this document, right? Now the second point is that as we copied all these 5 lines, right? So that is called similarity. Remember this part, it is called similarity. That indicates how much text is similar, right, in the original document. So here it is 100%. I mean, in is same, the is same, past is them, Q is them, decade is there. Right now, talk about the word count. Okay, because later on I'm going to talk about the mathematics of it. So just understand word count. So this is word 1 in, the is 2, past is 3, Q is 4, decade is 5. So that's where we have, for example, in very first we have 48 word count, right? So all those 48 word counts we have copied as it is. Okay, so your document will look like in this way. Okay, let's say there is a space here, right? So assume that this is my document. Okay, very first line as it is, second, third, fourth, fifth, and the fifth, let's say it is Patel et al. I'm using 3 author in this way, 2020, right? Okay, so this is not plagiarized document, remember, because we already cited a source, right? So properly acknowledging the source will automatically save us. Now the second issue is the similarity. Now here you have to rewrite it. Do not go for rephrase. I mean, people sometimes change the the tense. All those people who are good in English, they know that active to or passive voice, or maybe all those gimmicks people are doing. So instead, read the statement, read the paragraph, pick the important part, and simply rewrite. Right. So that is the most scientific approach. Everyone should involved in that. So properly attributing or acknowledging the source will save you from charge of plagiarism. Remember. So the moment you pick any document, make sure it should be cited. Now the next point, let's say whatever you see, for example, I've copied, let's say, or you have copied something called this section 2.2 theory of plant behavior. You copy it as it is, right? Or maybe there is a table heading. Let's say there is a figure heading, for example, here. Research model. Okay, this is, for example, you have simply copied this figure title as it is, right? So here, I mean, let's say, for example, you are copying this section from my document. I'm not going to file a lawsuit, right? Because this is a generic nature of the content. There are a lot of things. Let's say the moment you write the purpose of the study is. Now, this is a generic descriptive nature of the content, right? No one can take the copyright for this specific, right? So there are certain words, certain phrases, certain table headings, figure headings, wherein if you are not citing, people will not be find it offensive. Remember, but it is up to it is the researcher who decide and who have that a third eye to decide that okay, this content has to be cited, this content which is generic. Now you cannot take a call that okay, for example, uh, let's say you talked about the statistics, right? So this is not a generic content, right? This is a very specific content. You have to cite, right? So here, let's say, for example, even I've cited this document because from this we have taken this data, right? So here you cannot directly put my name because authenticity is required. So maybe you have to go by this plus the another, right? The another, or maybe directly go to the original source, read the original paper and rewrite it. So that is also advisable, right? So to go to that original document, reading the material, come up with your own thought, right? This is called cross-referencing. Normally 70-80% researchers are doing, right? So they will go to the original document, they will go to this original document, read the draft, and you will get lot of another information can be citable. So maybe I've cited this information in the same document, in the same paragraph, another fact and figure is given. So you can cite that. Both have a similar meaning, right? We are talking about the statistics, right? So you can do it, you can do also these things in this specific way. Okay, so please let me, summarize this discussion at this moment. One is that whenever we provide a citation of the document from which we have taken the content, it is non-plagiarized document. Okay. Second, we need to decide as a researcher. We talk about code of conduct, right? The more ethical doing thing, right? what is right and what is wrong. We are not going in much into it, but yes, we need to draw a line about the content. If you copy or if you, let's say, refer, and if you decide that okay, this content is to be cited or not to be cited, it is absolutely a researcher call, right? So later on, when there is a low shoot, you cannot say that, sir, I'm not aware about this and that's why I've done it, right? So if you take a generic a content, no, we understand generic and very specific. So if the content is very generic, right? In the introduction, for example, let's say the last paragraph of this, let's say, here they mentioned an attempt is made to fill this gap by doing so and so. This is a very generic content, right? Even it's like the next section talks about this, section 4 talks about this, right? At the end of the every introduction of thesis or maybe of a paper, we write a generic summary, right? So if you talk about that part, no one is going to file a low shoot. It is always a non-plagiarized document. But the important part is that we need to decide as a researcher which is a generic content and which is a specific content, right? Now, third one, that's what I said, it is more ethical choice, right? चोर को पता होता है चोरी कहाँ पे हुई है और कहाँ पे की है. So the moment you open the document, you know that what content that you have taken from that part, right? So later on, you cannot say that okay, I forgot. Many times, we use cross-reference. Let me talk about the part, something called cross-reference, right? So in this paper, right, I've let's say for example, I'm writing something from the literature, okay, right? I'm writing this hypothesis H2, right? So this literature I'm referring and I'm using, right? So fortunately or unfortunately, there may be a possibility I have not referred this paper, I have not referred this paper, I have not referred this paper, I am not referred this paper, right? That's what everyone is practicing. The right method is you have to at least go once to this paper, because this person's argument is something that he has read and then come up with the argument, right? So maybe you can definitely revisit the document, come up with some else argument in order to support your own point of opinion. Okay, so maybe there are multiple sources. Let's say this you are not cross-referred, this originally you are not been to this document, right? So when you are you are writing this, so please avoid this. Otherwise, again, when I see you the report, right? We use one software in between. So when you see the report, you will find this is also copied, this is also copied, this is also copied, this is also copied, and you wonder, sir, these are the references which are there. What can I do? What can I do in order to avoid this? But if you use the science, right? So see, avoiding plagiarism is the proactive strategy, not the reactive strategy. So once you have the document written and when you upload, now at this moment you cannot say this, what can be done, right? So it's a proactive strategy. At the moment we are talking about proactiveness, how I can improve your proactiveness science, right? So at the moment, let's say I'm writing this specific paragraph, right? So at this moment I know I have not visited this paper, I have not referred this paper, I have not originally downloaded this paper, even I have not referred the abstract, right? So it's always advisable to avoid citing this specific thing, right? And replace, more importantly, because let's say this paper was published in 2020, right? This is 2021. So in between, let me talk about it in this green marketing domain. We will have almost, always have a 5,000 plus document, right? So just replace this with the latest citations, maybe a 2020 or 2021 or 2019, right? I missed, even I have not put it, 2018 and 2019, right? So you can use that. So this is more science, more productiveness. So at the time of writing, please apply your thought, right? Instead copying and pasting all these citations that you are not referred. I'm talking about the full studies, right? So please replace them with the most advanced studies which are right now. Because this paper got published in 2020. Let me talk about the real historical data. Published in March 2020. I submitted in this journal in between August 2019, sorry, right? So they've taken 6 months to get it published, right? Data collection was done in, let me tell you, data collection was done in 2018, December. I authored the paper in between February to March, right? 2019. So after March 2019, I have not referred any paper. So you have the luxury and an opportunity that you can track those paper in between 2019 March to till date, and you can replace those citations, right? So your document is automatically updated, and this is your actual contribution, right? So many times what we say, let's say, for example, this hypothesis, this author has provided this many citations, right? This is already a bulkier document. Now, what is your contribution? Sometimes people ask, so what is my contribution if I'm simply copying? So this is one more opportunity, one way wherein we can create a value, right? By updating the existing literature or body of knowledge with respect to this empirical evidences. Okay, so I hope I'm just bringing certain things, certain strategical way. That is why it is called ethical choice, right? We know that the document that I've opened and the document that I've never opened, right? And still I'm citing. That is called cross-reference. So make sure in your document, let's say if I talk about this specific paper, right? Let's talk about more science. At the end, you will have some references. You can say these are all references, right? Citation, and now this is called references. Let me zoom in. Okay, arranged alphabetically, right? You can see. Now these are the references. Reference 1, this is reference 2, this is reference 3, and then there is a question answer. Any document, what would be the optimal number? There is nothing like optimality, right? If you are a good scientific writer, it is always right. If it is 30, 40, 50, 100, 120, everything is scientific, right? There is nothing like a number-driven game. Okay. So here, these are the list of references, right? So out of this, do you think I have referred each and every paper? The answer is no. Make sure at least 2030 should be cross-cited, right? If you are doing it 100%, if you are doing it at 100%, right? Each and every document that you see, that you refer, if it is 100%, it is amazing, right? But we know practically it will not be. It is always 70-80%, right? An author would always go to 70-80% of the document, read it, refer it, and then cite it. Remaining 20-30% of the document, they are cross-cited, right? Cross-referred. We call it CROSS-REF, cross-referred, right? So that is always there, right? So cross-references, not more than 20-30, would be more scientific. If it is 50%, that means the content that you are, let's say, the content that you have, all this content, 50%, right, is referred, and 50% it is directly. I mean, the document that you go on, open it, read it, and then you refer it or cite it, right? Remaining 50% you directly snatch from the existing literature. Automatically, reduce the quality and confidence of the reviewer. Let me talk about more reviewer perspective, or the editorial perspective. As we know, let's say I'm also connected with review manuscripts. So normally what we see, so we see the quality of journal. Let me talk about this part, right? Young consumer, computer in human behavior, CSB we call it, right? This is again a Springer book, right? So these are the things. So automatically there is a document which is ready. If you upload in a good quality journal, right, there is a manuscript central system. Many of you are aware about. Immediately, the report on reference would be created. How many validated? How many of them are not validated? Maybe you have seen that report, right? So from that, automatically, an editor or maybe a reviewer is in a position to know that what kind of quality references that you have referred. So this will be a strategy for me, right? So whenever we write a document, let me talk about that part, right? So whenever we write a document, let's say we are writing this paragraph, we thoughtfully, or you can say planned way, we provide citation which are of good quality journals, right? So automatically when someone tracks in my list of references, they will find out of 100% of the document, 80% are of a good quality journal. Maybe someone is knowing there are certain ratings or rankings. Let's say ABDC is their Australian Bureau of Dean Council, ABDC. Then we have CAPS, CABS. They are having ABS standard, ABS 1, ABS 2, ABS 3, ABS 4, and ABS 4-star. So we when we are writing that document, we make sure all the paper that we are referring must be from 4-star, 4, and at least 3, right? So from the moment, let's say you open a paper, the paper, let's say this paper is definitely ABS 2. ABDC, A-level journal, right? So when you copy a document from this and when you cite this, automatically your references are of that level of quality, right? So now let me quickly move to the specific. Otherwise, let's say, otherwise then your paper would be rejected. That will be Dist reject, or maybe your supervisor, whenever they have the report, they know, right? That this document is developed or written from a low quality material. So whenever we talk about the plagiarism of the text, we need to talk about again numbers. So substantial copy paste. So whenever we upload the document, I will show you the report. Whenever we upload the document, we talk about this substantial. We sometimes people call it significant, sometimes people call it substantial, sometimes people call it minor. So we talk about those words in a more quantitative way, right? 20%, 30%, 40%. Many of you are aware about it, right? So we talk about that the word and the number. And there may be a literal copying. I mean, we know that when you upload the document, there is a one full paragraph. It is of one color, red color or blue color, or green color, right? So we also talk about that one. So reproducing word by word as it is, right? So this is always a plagiarized document because we have that word count limit. Let's from any document you cannot take straightforward 50 words, a word count, right? So for example, if you are reading my paper, from my paper, you cannot take more than 50, right, words in a single document. That's a limit, word count per single document, right? So that is another limit, upper limit. Let's say I rewrite, I rephrase, whatever I do, I need to also see not more than 50 word count, right? And many times what we are doing, we are paraphrasing, right? That is the art of restatement of text by carefully mixing up the words without changing the meaning. So if you are good at rewriting, you can do it, right? So paraphrasing is scientifically accepted. But let me talk about more strategical way. If you read the original document and after that you are paraphrasing, so maybe certain new content that you can add that author has not actually added in the original document. So that will be your own contribution. And the text recycling, there are a lot of softwares available in the world market when you write in Google. I'm not talking about that part. So there are a lot of softwares available. So you upload your paragraph, they are rephrasing, right? But let me talk about this is not the scientific way of doing it. Because the words which are being replaced, they are not scholarly or they are not scientific. When you talk about connectors, when we are talking about phrases, when we are talking about a document, it has a scholarly language, right? And that is why UGC has introduced in PhD curriculum one of the subject of research, publication ethics and language, right? Here we have introduced, right? So I'm aware about that part. Okay. So those words which are not scientific, which are there, so automatically the confidence of your supervisor, your university, or maybe your co-author is to a level wherein they will not give you a green signal, right? So don't do this because software will not. This may be done by maybe an undergrad student, right? Or maybe sometimes at a PG student, but when you are doing a PhD or you are writing a paper for your own career advancement, it is not advisable to do it. So many times when we say a practice, I mean, let's say for example, you sent me a document, I uploaded, I know that the document is heavily plagiarized, right? So again, the question comes: is it intentional? Is it intentional? I mean, whether you are aware about it or not, but the charges are same, right? Second, it is unintentional, right? Maybe a textual similarity. So many times it may happen. Let's say, you are referring this document. Let's say you are referring this document, and in the world at present, many people are referring this document, right? So there may be a coincidence, right? You are correct. So, we have referred this original paper, and thereafter we have taken the text and rewrite it. Similar, same thought again. It will be there in someone else's mind, right? So it is coincidental, right? So we are not actually charging, but now when we know the science, I will show the real quantitative numbers that how it can be done. So this kind of question can be removed in that way. And that is why we have to do it at two levels. One is how much text was copied, few lines, few paragraphs, or the full document. You said intentional or unintentional. We are least concerned. Just check it out whether it is significantly copied, right? If there are your document comprises five, what you can call it pages. Out of 5 pages, when you see the word count, let's say it is 2,000, right? Out of 2,000, the document says 800 words are copied, right? Or maybe 1,000 words are copied. It is heavily copied, right? That simply we say that. And what you have copied, another perspective. So this is part A. and this is part B. So where people are not that much, the eyebrows are not rising, right? Or maybe there will not be a red signal. So maybe let's say in introduction something you copied, right? In discussion part something you copied, literature part something you copied, right? That way. But what you copied? Your method, your data, your results, introduction. Let's say in introduction, one paragraph, full paragraph you copied. So maybe your supervisor is not that much consent, right? Because that is not your absolute actual contribution over which you are going to get your degrees or diplomas, right? Or maybe your performance appraisal is not because of this. But let's say, for example, you are claiming that this is your piece of paper. Let's say, for example, this is my publication. Okay, it is a two country. Now we collected data from USA and we collected data from India, right? And the moment you find this data is copied somewhere, now what does it mean? If this column somewhere you find they're similar, what does it mean? That means I even copied the data. That means I've never collected data. I've never accomplished any survey, right? I never have any kind of analysis. This is absolutely a cheating, right? So in which area, which section, the colors are being shown, right? The content is being copied, right? So if it is in data, in method, immediately your supervisor, is getting angry. For example, you are a PhD scholar, and the moment you send your document to your guide, and the moment guide, will realize that the copied content is in data, in result, is in result, immediately your guide would be, getting angry. Forget about the law of science, right? Science law. This is more ethicality, right? Your guide will immediately identify that this is very, very questionable phenomenon, right? So we need to understand either it is limited, moderate, and significant. When it is significant, when something is in this data, method, results, right? Measurement, right? Moderate, maybe introduction, table heading, maybe at the last some appendix or annexes are there. Limited, below to it, it is limited. I will even talk about the number also. But significant, that means method, data, which is your core contribution, right? This has not to be copied, right? Your conclusion, let's say, a conclusion of your thesis or conclusion of your research paper should not be, right? Introduction, if you're copying many things, it's okay. Copying, that means I'm still warranting don't copy and paste. Copying, that means you are borrowing the idea, you are rewriting the facts, right? And after that you are putting, right? So that's where you have to be, reconnect or rethink of the concept. Okay, next part is we have to either if you want to prevent, let's, here at this moment we are talking about strategy. So maybe you are a student, you are talking about your strategy to reduce it. Let's say, for example, I'm a supervisor, I'm a guide. I need to think from that perspective. My institute would have a differential thought because they are the institutionals, the universities and the institutions, they need to set the policies, right? So there is a document, right? So in our PG program, for example, in our MBA program, my student, let's say there is a final year dissertation, right? We call it MRP2, Management Research Project 2, right? So for them, in introduction and literature review, let me say part 1, introduction and literature review, the similarity will be less than 20%. The similarity of the content. This is still, we have to decide whether it is a plagiarized or non-plagiarized, right? Based on the citation, right? So the similarity index, let's say the number of words that you copied, so it should be less than 20%, right? In second, for example, not this is part 2. I mean methods and your data analysis. So here we specifically talk about 10%, right? So my students are doing this. Even I'll take one small sample later on. It is just written by my MBA grade 2 student, right? So one is the policy. So develop the document. Even you are witnessing your universities, your departments are writing, putting into black and white, suggesting that if your document has this much of similarity, maybe you have to give a justification that why it is so, right? And second, we need to redesign more valuable, more fundamental. This is proactive, right? Right? This is reactive. This is basically a reactive strategy. This is a proactive strategy, right? So let's change the structure of writing, right? Let's focus more on scientific way of writing. That's why your university is organizing or this institute is organizing this workshop. Okay. So let's redesign the learning activities and the assessment model. So we know there are certain stages which are always common: introduction, literature review, research methodology, data analysis, and discussion and implication. Right. So we have done this. Part 1, make sure, right, this is part 1, introduction plus review of literature, less than 20%, and all this thing is my part 2, that is 10%, right? So whenever you are writing your research methodology, write less. Okay, number 1, write less. So now you don't find the thesis available at 300 pages, with 300 pages. It is automatically been reduced to 150, 170, 180, right? Because of this policizing and the methodology that you have adapted at this level. So maybe your research methodology chapter will not be more than 20, 25 pages. Data analysis 30 pages, discussion 10 to 15 pages. Literature maybe 30 plus, 40 plus, 50 plus. Introduction not more than 15 pages, right? So that way somewhere around 160 to 180, that will be the optimal range of the pages for your thesis. And if we talk about research paper, introduction 2 pages, literature review 5 to 7 pages, research methodology 2.5 pages, data analysis 4 to 5 pages, discussion and implication again 6 to 7 pages, right? So this is the optimum balance that we are using for writing the paper, which is of absolutely a good quality, accepted by the world standard. And then how to decide whether it is plagiarized or having the similarity. So to determine plagiarism, there is no software available. Let me tell you, there is no software available. It is a very, very subjective phenomenon. I'll show you later on, because चोर को ही पता है कि उसने चोरी कहाँ पे की है. So you know that from which source that you copied the document, right? But to what extent, moderate, significant, this is the call needs to be taken by your supervisor, your guide, maybe your university, your department, right? So based on that, we know whether it is a plagiarized document or not. So one software is available. There are many softwares available in the world. We use world-class software called Turnitin, right? We are paying every year 6 to 7 lakh to them for only detecting, having reports. So our PG student is also talking about Turnitin similarity reports, copying all these databases. They know by heart. Even when they send us any kind of conceptualization, whenever they start their own research project, they always show me the documents. I mean, the research paper, they are those databases. Elsewhere, then we have this Welle and Springer and all those things, right? So automatically, there, whatever they pick, a part or a portion of that document will produce the quality, right? So we have, at the end of the day, when we use this software, we have a originality report. Sometimes we call it similarity report. It is also originality report, or we call it similarity report. And it has similarity index, remember. So this is a quantitative number, right? So the moment I say 20%, this is a number, right? So similarity index talks about the numerical value of the copying part. Okay, so this is the similar originality report. You can say Turnitin produces originality report. Okay, so report looks like in this way. Okay, so you can see this is one of my student, Ami Patel, MBA semester 3 student. He she authored a paper, and the paper I uploaded in this and sent to an international conference for presentation. Look at the similarity index is 11%. Right now, let me zoom it. When we talk about the quality, here I'm not talking about whether this is a plagiarized document or not. That is yet to decide, right? So the very first part, whenever you have a document, whenever let's say your student prepare a document, either you or your student, right, or maybe anyone prepares a document, right? It's a doc file or a .pdf, list concern. Step number 1, we upload on any software. We have done it in, which is a world-class software. So if you plan to buy, please buy. And I am not recommending this, but this is a good quality document because they have all connected database. Those, when we say per se at world level, there are certain good quality databases which are actually taking the metadata of genders, right? So Turnitin has a direct access to them. We pay to Turnitin, Turnitin pays to those databases. So at any moment of time, when it's a real-time data, right? So they have a direct access to all those published papers. So like, for example, today my paper got accepted. Tomorrow it is early site, right? Early site view, or we call early view. version, immediately it is available with Turnitin, right? So we will have updated information. So 11% is the similarity, right? Okay, so similarity index is nothing but, let's say, by definition, it is match count divided by total word count, right? So in your document, total words is this. Out of this 11%, that means, for example, in your document, let's say 1,000 words are there. So out of 1,000, 110 words that you have copied, right? So that is called similarity index, right? So don't be happy if you have 11%, right? You need to see whether it is plagiarized or not. Now the important part, how do you know as a guide, or how do you know as a supervisor of my university that this is a quality content? Now you can see this bifurcation. This is interesting, right? Similarity by source. So from which source that you have actually taken the content. So part is internet sources, let's say part B is publication, and part C is student paper, right? So now let me talk about strategy. So we here practice. Any document comes with, my student does know that they need to make sure this part should be maximum. The publication should be maximum, right? So the content that you refer, make sure the referred content when we have this report should be from publication. So 4% from internet, 9% publication, 6% student paper, and this is overlapping, right? So forget about that. Oh, this is no, we are not going or investing much energy or wasting money and energy on understanding these numbers, right? Let's understand the thumb rule. Thumb rule is that make sure this should be less than 20%, less than 15%, amazing. Okay, but at least try to stick less than 20%. So whenever you send it for language editing, maybe you will get for 14, 15, 16%, right? If you start writing in that, this is more science. For example, I was using Turnitin in 2008. After that, I've just implemented in my style of writing. So whenever I write anything, it will fall in between 8 to 12%. Right? So if I upload, I know that it is always in between 8 to 12% because I've changed my writing method. So at this moment, we are talking about changing the writing method. So yes, if you have this source or not, least concern. Second, even you don't have any issue with respect to plagiarism, whether you have copied it or whether you have cited it or not. I'll talk about that part in just 10 minutes, right? So make sure this is a strategy. Somewhere you can note down. Make sure that the central part, publication, should be maximum. So what is the right strategy? Step number one, download only those paper, right, which are of good quality, right? All those database, Elsewise, Finger, and all those things. Only use those papers to write. So automatically, this part would have a maximum contribution, right? So this is a second strategy. Make sure publication count should be maximum. Okay. Now let me show you the next part of it. Okay, so let me just take you to 100%. Okay, so here you can see this is the report that is in HTML view. I will also show you the report in a PDF version. Okay, so this is similarity index. Let's say in this document it is 15%. It is a percentage of text in your manuscript that has been matched or other sources. By equation, match word count divided by total number of words. So I'll show you the Word document also, how it can be calculated. In this document, it is, you can see for publication, it is 12%. Don't worry about internet source and student papers, okay. Make a thumb rule, try to get publication counts maximum and work somewhere around 10 to 20 words. That is good, right? Don't ever try to 0%. If this is 0%, I will not read your document. 0% cannot be possible, right? Because we know, let's say, for example, I'm a professor, I'm teaching since 15 years, right? Before that, I did my MBA. So whatever the things which are coming here, it is always getting reflected from some document. We read textbook, we read reference books, we read articles, we read magazines, right? So it is always there. I mean, we extracted the thoughts from some document, right? So 0%, it is, what we can call it abnormal, right? Understanding that way, abnormal, right? So if it is 0%, still make it 4%, 5%, 6%, right? By supplementing good quality publication, A-star general paper, ABS 4, ABS 4-star, ABS 3. So automatically your quality of document will be lifted, right? those 50-20% you have to cite your Indian authors. We have that prejudice. For example, my paper you will see, I am from India. Maybe Indian author cannot cite. Maybe I don't know what is the logic, right? We'll look at the content. We'll look at the argument inside the paper, and thereafter we cite. We never see that whether this is a foreigner or maybe this is an Indian, right? Nothing like that. If you find the content which is relevant, cite. So when figure is high, is it a case of plagiarism? My answer is yes or no, right? Why it is no? Because if everything you have cited, right? I mean, whatever the content that you refer from the original document, and if the original document is cited, it is no. And for example, if you have a 15% still, you have not cited the content, the document from which you have taken. It is called plagiarized, right? So in report also, we have this kind of a column somewhere. You just see, I'll show you the final report at the end, so as you can directly get an idea. So for example, whenever we download this originality report from Turnitin, on the right-hand side, there is a full column, right? So this column talks about from which source you have taken or you have copied the part, right? So for example, my PhD scholar will submit a document, or maybe let's say I as an author, my co-author, let's say we are working with many people across the world, right? So let's say my co-author has submitted me a document, right? So I can easily see, okay, which are the sources. For example, you can see this part is the original document, right? That provides suggested original source depending from this paper. My co-author or my student has extracted some content. I'm not saying that copied, right? But extracted some idea, some content, right? And now you can see the percentage, 3%, which is very high. The thumb rule is, again, I'm talking about strategy. The strategical takeaway is make sure all these values should be 1% or less than 1%. Please, it should be 1%. So here, make sure or not, this should be less than or is equal to 1%, right? So here when it is 3%, so I advise my student, or maybe let's say my co-author, or if let's say I work with the same person, I take the advice that let me reduce this 3% to 1%. Two ways, right? Replace the same content, right, with some another paper, piece of publication. That is one way. Second, I will absolutely rewrite the paragraph, right? The moment I say this paragraph has 3%, immediately I will going to replace the paragraph or maybe rewrite the paragraph. I will reduce the content, right? So there will be one more strategy. Whenever you are writing, your objective is to add the content, right? Once you are reached to the stage where you are about to make a document camera ready for submission, our strategy would be cut short the content, right? So as automatically you can reduce, let's say 3%. If I want to go to 1%, adding the content is very cumbersome exercise, right? It takes a lot of pain. Instead, we know that my original document, my research paper is 8,000 word count. So the journal says 6 to 8,000 is okay. So I have a luxury to reduce the content by 2,000 word. So here I'm going to go for second option, cut short the content. Okay. So make sure the takeaway part is whenever you see the report, make sure this will be either 1% or less than 1%. Above it, it is very, very significant. Just assume one document has 7%, right? That means one document is really dominates your idea. And that is why we have to have a one thumb rule, right? Have the 1% or less than 1% would be good. So this is the equation. Similarity index, mass words divided by total words. So there are three strategies available. Strategy number one, right? Strategy number one, right? Decrease the numerator, right? So you have to reduce this, decrease the numerator. The matched word count, you have to reduce. This is in isolation or one strategy. In isolation again, another strategy is increase denominator. Right? So increase this total number of word count. अगर आपका 6,000 का पेपर है 6,200 करो 6,300 करो. I'm using Hindi so as you can easily get the idea, right? And see, okay, the third strategy, decrease and increase both way. So in certain cases, for example, in discussion, you can do it both way. Add certain, so there will be certain content, delete it, and instead add some meaningful information, right? So that is part C. So there are three possible ways available: way 1, ways 2, and ways 3. Or that way you can reduce the similarity, right? So citations are important. How you are going to delete? Let's say when we talk about the first part, how you are going to delete the numerator? Sorry, reduce the numerator. So let me take you the paper. Okay, so let's say this is the paper that I've already written. Okay, this is the paper that I've already written. Okay, now I want to reduce the numerator. So certain word count I need to reduce. For example, look at this from this paragraph. Conversely, to up to this, right? 6 or 7 sentences. Can I reduce 7 sentences to 2 or 3 sentences? Answer is always yes. Okay, so by reading these 7 and 8 sentences, I can simply squeeze 2 or 3. So automatically my copied, assume that this is a copied part, right? So it is automatically reduced. Okay, so that is one part. Second is, let's say, second is increase the denominator. So we need to increase the words. Now this is, now just assume a situation. You are about to submit your thesis, right? You are absolutely out of your mind. I mean, you are so tired. Those who have done, completed PhD, I know there's, the status of mind or the stature of mind, right? So it is very, very, what you can call it, hardworking activity, wherein to add a content is like, a very, very painful activity. So at this moment, what we do? We need to add the content, but where we are going to add? So let me show you certain ways. For example, just give me a second. Yeah. In this paper, so can you write conclusion? Let's say if you want to write here 2-3 lines more, can you write? The answer is always yes. You have completely authored your thesis, chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, have gone for 6 to 7 times presentation, attended many conferences, maybe authored 2 or 3 publications, right? So you are always have the expertise wherein you can write simply 2 or 3 sentences, which does not require any citation, right? So that is an interesting part. Even let's say in the introduction, for example, in the introduction, maybe, for example, here you have written one line. After that, you can add 1 or 2 liners that can explain this, or maybe they have to connect this line and the next line. You can write 1 or 2 sentences that will connect first paragraph, first point, and in the same paragraph, maybe the third point. This is, let's say, point 1. Point 2 would be your connector, and this is point 3. So you want to connect point 1 and point 3, so you need to write point 2, right? So this does not require any citation, right? So you can write certain simplest sentences that will extrapolate the understanding or the meaning. You are actually extending the meaning out of the first point and landing to the third point. So you are clubbing these two, right? Let's say first paragraph talks about companies. Third point or third paragraph in the same paragraph or third section of the same paragraph talks about consumer. So this talks about company, this talks about consumer. So I need to write 1 or 2 sentences in between. Then we'll connect these two, company and customer, right? And that I can produce. Okay. Or sometimes, maybe you are aware about, let's say, for example, we provided a definition. If I have an example here. Okay, now you can see here. So PVC has been defined, right? So that you have provided double inverted comma. You can see, or shall I zoom it? Okay, now it is proper. Yeah. So in this, you can see PVC has been defined as, it is in double inverted comma. Whenever we have a double inverted in comma, this is normally we put definitions. So whenever we have a definition, please put page number. This is called scholarly way of doing it, right? So the citation and the page, right? Which consists, so I've extended, this is my own words. This is my own words, right? And I've already provided another citation. Otherwise, I can provide 2 citations together. Both are saying the same thing, but I've added 2 lines in between that will actually extrapolate the meaning, right? So these are my own words, right? So that way we do it. Many times, even in analysis, let's say, when you let me take you to that part, in analysis or maybe in sample. Yeah. So there are a lot of avenues where you can write your own way. You can see. Any citation, can you find it? Any citation? No. I just provide mathematics, right? According to 15 observation plus one item, this many respondent, all those things which have been added in order to expand the reader's understanding, right? But always you have a freedom to add a quality content that will actually add the meaning to that specific paragraph, right? So here you can see also there is no citation, only one or two citations are there, but still I have added a lot of content, right? So that will automatically, and this is originally written. I have not record any document, because the way that I collected data, I know in supreme way, right? Because I am the author, I am the researcher, so I know. So that's what more ethical way. Whenever you are writing, you as a researcher, you know that from where you are actually copying the content. I am repeating this line for third time, right? I'm just super emphasizing back of your mind. So this way we can do it. Now just there are few small exercises. Now my session will be ended in next 10 to 15 minutes. So let's talk about few points. Let's say this is a small exercise. How as a supervisor I know that whether this is a plagiarized document or not. So the report says, now you can see अगर आप report देखोगे तो ऐसा color आएगा. Now the red color is from that specific document. जो भी document हो उसमें से red color आएगा, right? So I know as a supervisor, these three lines have been copied. You can see the red color, right? Now let me read marketing and retailing literature as already demonstrated with this, and then you can see certain citations, right? And now you can see certain more citations have been added, right? So this is a continuous one. From this you can see 1999, Grover et al. 1999. Now as a supervisor, now you can even you know that, okay, this paper, all citation, this is a new citation which is added, this is a new citation which is added. So in original document maybe there is another citation, I have replaced it, right? Or maybe the author has replaced it, right? So new citation, new citation, new citation, and now you can see this is the document. So from 1990, all these three citations have been added. So original citation have been provided, and you can see few more citations have been provided. Now this is the original contribution, right? So this is absolutely non-plagiarized document. Okay. Next is, now you can see it is also essential to understand shopping. So here you don't find any colors. That means it is originally written. Okay. So 12%, 15%, you will find this kind of frequent exercises. So it is also essential to understand shopping orientation, which reflect categories of shopper styles and can represent consumer needs for product and services. Now, can you say this is generic or specific? What I see as an author, this is a generic content. This will not be a content which has to be cited, right? Or if I say, for example, it is also essential to understand, or maybe we can say it is not worthy to see that by many researchers, and then there's a statement. So I say, no, many researchers, we need to provide certain citation of many researchers. Sometimes we are using this kind of a word. Number of studies as explained or provided. Now here we are saying number of studies, and at the end of the day, I provide only one citation. So definitely there is a challenge to this. So you say number of studies, that means it is more than one. That's logical. More than one. That doesn't mean 100 studies, but at least 2 or 3 studies would be more scientific. Okay, so I assume that this is a very generic content, does not require a citation, right? And here you can see the purpose of the study is to identify. Now, do you think you need a citation for this? You can see even it is not provided. We know that this content is copied, or maybe we have used that rephrasing, scientific rephrasing, right? Manually we have done it. We have not used the software, right? But yeah, this is a very common term. Purpose of the study can be written by any. I mean, almost crores of document, right? So it is not cited. So still, it is not the plagiarized document. Now here you can see this is originally written. Daniel and this replicated this work. This is this, right? Traditional and dedicated print shopper. Now here certain citations have been provided. So lesser in uses identified this and that. And what I assume, once the moment we have this full stop, right? We expect that the source, the original source has been cited. From the original source, let's say from the original source, the author has copied this, right? The user has identified 7 different kind of shop for these are the names, right? So we have changed the sequence. Maybe we have changed certain words, right? So that is why it is not active, and surveys and the fries and the traditional, the transitionals and dedicated French profiles, right? So these words in original document copied as it is. Now the one of the important point is, we have a full stop and there's a new sentence. Please pay your attention. There is a full stop and there is a new sentence, right? Otherwise, if it is non-plagiarized or maybe your a job of doing this is scientific, maybe you have a citation, right? We have a citation. So from that we know that, okay, from this paper, the moment we click, let's say, Turnitin as an option, the moment you click on this, we will have the original paper. So the moment we see original paper, we see the same citation. It is not the plagiarized document. I hope I just put this point clear. As a supervisor, we need to decide. Number, the similarity index does tell you about what content that you have matched, right? Maybe a coincidence, right? But whether it is plagiarized or not, it is subject to the verification and validation. Now, mathematics, let's say, sometimes people say that, okay, if it is equation, mathematics, images, people sometimes manipulate images, maybe Turnitin before 2 years does not have that capacity to extract. Today it has, right? So if you copy, let's say, for example, certain image, let's say there is a flow diagram, right? Or maybe certain a figure, right? So maybe now Turnitin has a capacity to extract that, okay, this part you copy. Now just refer. The inventory level decreases owing to demand as well as iteration. Thus, the change of inventory level can be represented by the following differential equation. Do you think this has to be cited? This is again a generic content. So what you need to do as an author, we have to reduce, तीन line एक साथ आ रही हैं. So we need to reduce. Either you can delete or you can simply shorten it, right? So that is the part. Then the exercise 5, you can see certain equation. Now it is observed that again this is very generic, increase and decrease. This is, it is your understanding. This is a sensitivity analysis. If I increase 1 unit of X, Y would be either increase or decrease. This is again a common language, right? So no need to cite. But if you find a content to be copied here, let's say this is shown color, right? The same color. This is dangerous, right? This shows the data analysis, maybe you have outsourced or maybe you're using the same data. So again, I need to check. Let's say all these are same color. So I will check whether this is the same author paper. For example, you are writing about thesis in second semester or third semester or fourth semester. You have collected the data, right? Which is a thesis survey. From that you have authored a paper. Now paper published is available in www. So maybe thereafter we need to see whether the same author is there or not. So maybe again we have to check it out. Right, now let me show you the full Turnitin report. Right, that part is missing. Okay, so I am showing you one Turnitin report. How much time we have?
Okay, sir, we will see whether any questions. Till there is no question in the chat box, but if anyone is interested, okay,
they can directly ask. They can unmute themselves and they can directly ask. I think the right is given, I guess.
Okay. Now, sir, there is one question. I'm reading this question. How to select the quality towards for publication? Quality journals for publication.
Yeah. For quality journals, there are two ways. One is the impact factor. At this moment, everyone is talking about impact factor. But before that, we need to see that whether the same paper is being listed with what database. Maybe in principle, one is Scopus and second one is Web of Science. So we all the time seeing or referring a publication into these two databases. Like the moment you, let's say, for example, let me take you to somehow that, okay, we directly go to Scopus, let's say. Can you see my Google screen?
Yes, sir.
Right, so that is the Scopus preview, right? Author search and sources. You can also see my profile on Scopus. You can see anyone else's profile on Scopus. You also have a Scopus ID. Author has an Scopus ID. The moment you publish the very first Scopus listed paper, on the same day your Scopus ID is generated. You are not supposed to apply for that, right? And the sources, for example, if I want to write the, there are certain search window here. You can see the title and you have to write. Let's say the moment I just click on this, either we can insert subject area, title, publisher, and ISSN number of the journal to show that whether it is in the Scopus list or not, and second the title, right? So let me go by a title, for example, Journal of Business Research. Okay. Okay, it is something wrong that I've added. There it is case sensitive, so we need to be very much. Okay, Journal of Business Research. Okay, it is taking, let's say, Journal of Business Cycle Research, for example. So when you click on this, you will get all matrices related to that. That means you can see from 2016 to present. From 2016 to present. So till date, it is listed. If it is 2016 to 2020, that means in 2021, it is not there. So this is one way to see from Scopus, right? Another way is that you can directly go to databases. I already said ABTC, right? Let me take you to that part quickly. If I'm having that readily available, give me a second. Even I will share these things on your email. Okay, we have two, ABDC and ABS. ABS is more reputed because they are very stringent journal. They are the UK based. So let's say this is the the general guide. They are giving the ranks. There are 5 ABS 1. Bottom is ABS 1, then ABS 2, ABS 3, ABS 4, and ABS 4 star. The biggest advantage is that they are giving you by your field, right? So accounting field, let's say 4 star. So America. So it is like always we keep remembering that we refer this document so frequently, so as we know the top 10 or 15 general. For example, in marketing, I can spell out general of marketing, we call it JM, JMR, JB, JBR, JAR, JR, right? So general of retailing, general of branding, general of marketing, general of marketing research. So it is like, if you just refer this document for 2 or 3 times, you start knowing the name of journals, and we know the labels also, right? This is ABS2, then we have ABS3, ABS4. So this way, step 1, we download papers only from these journals, right? So automatically, the rest of the part, everything, your conceptualization, everything would be of quality, right? So I hope I've answered. Now let me show you the Turnitin report. This is the final report. Now you can see the colors, right? So let's say this blue color, you can see 28, number is 28. Let me just zoom in. Yes, now it is quite visible. So 28 and the blue color. So इसका मतलब मैं हिंदी में समझाता हूँ कि जो 28 नंबर पे डॉक्यूमेंट होगा उसमें से ब्लू कलर वाला कंटेंट हमने कॉपी किया है, राइट? सो लेट मी टेक यू टू दैट पार्ट. 28 वाला जो है डॉक्यूमेंट, अलग अलग कलर दिखेंगे आपको. Now this is the Turnitin report. 30% similarity, 14% internet, 29% publication, 2% student paper, right? This is still considered to be a good quality. 30%, don't worry. 2% is this, 2%. So we need to only reduce these 2 sources, and it should be 1 or less than 1, right? Now refer that 28. 28 वाला आपको याद हो तो 28 is a Mishra's paper, less than 1%. तो उसमें से जो भी लिया है, जो 28 वाला पेपर, उसमें से हमने जो भी वर्ड उसके साथ मैच हो रहे हैं वो इसी कलर से आएंगे. ये दिख रहा है ना कलर, वही कलर 28 नंबर वाला है. तो आपको डॉक्यूमेंट में साइमल्टेनियसली यू कैन सी 2 थिंग्स, right? One is you can see this content is copied from this, right? 28. और सिमिलरली अगर कहीं और भी वही दिखेगा कलर, तो मतलब मान लेना कि वो 28 में से होगा. बट व्हेनेवर वी लेट्स से आपके पास ये रिपोर्ट है 30%, अब आप उसको 20% करना है, तो स्ट्रेटेजी क्या होगी? सो द मोमेंट यू स्टार्ट शोइंग रोलिंग आउट दिस डॉक्यूमेंट, आपको दिख रहा है ना सारे जहाँ पे लेटेस्ट आ रहे हैं साइटेशन. नाउ वी नीड टू पिक द पैराग्राफ जहाँ पे मैक्सिमम कॉपी हुआ है, राइट? तो वो हम पहले एड्रेस करेंगे. मान लो कि 3 लाइन एक ही जगह से, तो हमको इसको पहले से रिप्लेस या रिफ्रेश या रीराइट करना पड़ेगा ताकि ओरिजिनल आपका क्या हो जाए, कम हो जाए, राइट? सो दिस इज मैथमेटिकल पेपर, मैथमेटिकल साइंस पेपर. So you can see lot of equation. यहाँ पे अंदर कुछ नहीं आना चाहिए, अंदर आ रहा है क्योंकि ओरिजिनल पेपर में आपने एक्सपांड किया है. No, you have one assumption, now you have 3, 4, 5 assumption, or you are breaking one more assumption. So definitely you have an expansion. तो यहाँ पे हम नहीं देखेंगे कि चलो इतना तो कॉपी हो रहा है, उसके साथ एड ऑन भी हो रहा है, तो मतलब ओरिजिनल वर्क हुआ है. राइट, पूरे पेपर में इक्वेशन एक ही आ रहा है, तो मतलब वो एज इट इज है. राइट, देखो टेबल हेडिंग है, सो नो प्रॉब्लम. राइट, सो 30% आपको रिड्यूस करना है, तो आपको जहां से मैक्सिमम, जहां से हमने लिया ना 2% वाला, यू कैन नो दैट दिस 2%, ये 2 पेपर हमको क्या करना है, उसमें हमको रीराइट करना है. पेपर 1 एंड पेपर 2, जिसमें रेड कलर है और ये पिंक कलर है. सो वी नीड टू आइडेंटिफाई द कंटेंट रेड एंड पिंक. रेड एंड पिंक कलर है, so reduce something, just replace with another publication matter, right? You can see reduce, right? So that you can do. So this is the original similarity report, right? So I will share to Pradhan sir all these reports for your understanding, right? So I'm done now from my side. If you have any question, you can directly unmute yourself and you can ask me a question.
Okay, one more question, sir. What is the difference between plagiarism and copyright with reference to article publication?
So in article publication, let's say I published in this Elsevier Journal of Retailing and Consumer Services.
Okay.
So copyright is always remain with author, right? So the document is always 100% the right is with the authors. The journal cannot reproduce the work or cannot, let's say, journal तो वही same paper उसको एक book में publish करवाना है. Now I am Elsevier, right? Understand? I am the publisher house. I am the Elsevier, right? So I have the right to publish the same paper in another document, right? Both are the property of Elsevier, but the permission should be taken from the author to reproduce the work, right? So one point is that if the publisher does decide, if you are Springer, if you are Wille, if you are Oxford, Elsevier, you can do it, right? So a paper article publication, it is into a book chapter, can be done. Okay, one thing. As an author, for example, the same paper, I cannot send it to another publisher, right? That is called copyright breach. Now, plagiarism is the content that you copied but not cited. So once your paper get published, that part is over. Let's say, for example, this paper I got accepted. That means the editorial board, editorial office, publisher printing press, they have actually cross-checked everything, right? After that, it get published, right? So that after that point, we talk about copyright. Okay. And before that point, we only talk about the plagiarism, right? From which source that you have taken the content, right? I hope I have answered this question, sir.
Okay, thank you, sir. Sir, last question. Which are the free tools used for checking plagiarism?
So one is Urkund is there. And then there are Quillbot is there. One is the Indian startup. They are doing this, but I don't think so. We have to rely on this free plagiarism checkers, because if you have some access, because for example, university-wide people are buying. Let's say, for example, we have at Stanford University, we are also helping a lot of people, right, to upload their documents. It is more ethical choice, so we help. It's not like that. So, but Turnitin has a wider access. See, for example, at this moment, one paper get accepted, one paper is uploaded on the metadata, right? So immediately it is getting reflected in our Turnitin report, right? So that's the biggest advantage. You are as close as the real-time data. Okay. So if you are just a learner or maybe doing the activity very first time, or maybe sending the paper, you can do it. There are Urkund is there, which is a free source. You can take the report. There is always a 4-5% change in your value, right? So it is advisable to do it. So Urkund is there.
Okay, thank you, sir. If anyone have query, can send the message in chat box, or can ask directly.
Yeah.
Or raise your hand. Yes, anyone interested?
Or you can write me an email, no problem. My email address is with Sandeep sir, no problem.
Okay.
Right. So I will answer those emails but at least give me a 48 hours. So I can reply in that time, right?
Yes, Hema Kumar want to ask question. Yes, Hema Kumar, please ask.
So you can unmute yourself, Hema
Yeah.
Kumar. You can unmute yourself.
Hema
You can answer.
Yes, Hema Kumar.
Sir, while using the online free plagiarism check tool, sir, platform, is it a reliable to use our own papers? Because if I, for example, if I use free online platform for plagiarism check, will it copied? And if I go to any publication, if they check the plagiarism, will there be any problem, sir?
Yeah, it is. See, always there's a risk whenever you send your content, which is just not published, right? See, even for example, let's say even the thesis printer, when we send an email, the chances would be very high. I mean, you have seen many evidences wherein people got copied the content from the thesis from the research paper and published in somewhere else way. It is always that the risk is very high, and that is why we always rely on the original method. We know that okay. Let's the general to decide. For example, whenever you write in your original way, okay. So what we do, it is advisable only write one paragraph. See what we do, what our student does. Let me show you one document because this is our original way of doing it. Give me a 130 second. What we are doing that let's say this is my student document. What assignment that I've given to him is just write one paragraph, right? So yes. Written one paragraph. Okay, so now this is the document. So what you need to do is you have to write only one paragraph. Let's say, right? You know now how many word counts are there. Let's say it is 315 words. Can you see it? Let me zoom it. Right? So there are 315 at the bottom. The status bar, you will find the number of word counts. So write only one or two paragraphs, right? And then upload those free checkers. And then see what is copied. So you know your writing style. For example, this part is getting copied. Okay. So now you know that okay from which document that you copied. So try to adjust your scientific writing technique in a way that you know कि आपने 350 में इतने वर्ड कॉपी किए थे. अब आप वापस दूसरा पैराग्राफ लिखने बैठो तो वो थोड़ा ध्यान में रख के बैठो ताकि अगर आप कहीं पे भी चेक नहीं करवाओगे तो भी चलेगा. So always have a pilot testing only on one paragraph or at least two paragraphs. And that is your own writing method. Even in language editing, we normally send two paragraphs, right? So we know that okay, I'm the same author. By language editing with two paragraphs, I know what are the common mistakes that I'm making. So every time I can update that method, right? So that way, this is my student work. It is 0%. Let me show you the report, right? So this is the work that he has written. So it is 0%. Now, so that simply indicates the student has written original. So in step one, what I'm given an assignment, write only one paragraph. Try to learn what you're copying, how you're copying. Now the second part, I'm just trying to replace this 5 citations, 6 citations with good quality paper. So that's the next assignment. So this way, I'm just elevating the quality of the content. Okay. So in sum, it is advisable to upload one or two paragraphs, sample paragraph, right, on those free online checker. Otherwise, if you upload the full document, it will be very riskier, right? So that is why people normally go by the word of mouth marketing. People always put the document in the what you can call it in a reference note, right? Done. I hope I have answered the question.
Okay, thank
Yes,
you,
sir.
sir. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Now I request Dr. Narendra Arne, sir, for a vote of thanks for this session.
Thank you, Bhadra sir. We are very much thankful to today's resource person, Dr. Jayesh D. Patel sir, Associate Professor, VM Patel Institute of Management, Ganpati University, Gujarat, for effectively conducted their topic. The topic is avoiding plagiarism strategies and technique, in which he explained how to avoid plagiarism and which strategies we have applied and their techniques and so on. This is very helpful to academician and researcher. Thank you so much, sir. We are also
Thank you,
thankful to our organizer and principal Dr. S. Ladke sir for successful organizer of this FDP. We are also thankful to Dr. Shashikant Chitre sir, convener of this FDP, and Professor Sandeep Pradhan sir, organizing secretary of this national FDP. Last, I am very much thankful to faculty members, academicians, researchers, and our teaching and non-teaching staff who are directly and indirectly cooperate us. Thank you so much. Over to Pradhan sir.
Okay, thank you, sir, for joining with us and making this session so interactive. And thanks to all the participants who participated in this 1 week faculty development program. Due to some technical issues, today's session started with some of the 30 to 40 minutes late, but still we are in connecting. So thank you all, and we will meet tomorrow at 11 a.m. and for a new technical session. So thanks to all. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for inviting me for this session. I will share the recording. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, sir, for supporting and coordination with us.
Thank you, sir. Bye.